Welcome one, welcome all to Week 11 recap. I, of course, am Justin Ross Kelly with Ruffled Sports, joined always by my best friend and part-time lover, BJ Bird. How you doing, BJ?
I'm doing great. I just got done trying out for an ESPN podcast. He hammered me good, and we'll see if I hear back.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that. They really like to get up in there deep and
Mhm.
get to what makes you tick.
Some would
What
say I
makes
got
you...
pounded just as hard as the Ravens did this week.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, since that's an awkward segue, let's just get into that. Uh, Ravens, Browns. I'll tell you what. The way this game started, I was thinking, dude, we're going to the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? I was like, we're going to the Super Bowl, dude. I mean, right off the rip, he throws the pick six to Kyle Hamilton, who's played great all year. And then we come out with a touchdown. Even after the Odell touchdown in the third, I'm sitting there going, we're good. This is it. We're great. And then an absolute utter collapse. I mean, if you have a team up 24-9 with 2 minutes and 20 seconds left to go in the third quarter, you got to find ways to win that game.
You do. You
You got to
absolutely
find
do.
ways to win that game.
I,
What frustrated me most, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to get your perspective because obviously I'm biased, right? I'm a little bit more heated because this is my team.
right.
Mitchell had two of the most beautiful carries I've seen a running back have. Comes right out the gate, nice run, awesome 39-yard touchdown run, and then he gets the ball one other time the rest of the game. That irked me to no end. If you have a guy who's just tearing it up the last two games like he has, keep feeding him the ball. Keep feeding him the ball, dude.
Well, my thing is, we kind of saw a example of this during the Cardinals game, where the Cardinals almost came back to upset the Ravens. I don't know if Mitchell is the difference that you're talking about, but it might be this defense just is not finishing the game. They're starting out strong but cannot carry through to the end, or the
Well,
offense is making mistakes.
where I saw a huge um, disparity, as you could say, with what I've seen in the past with the Ravens defense and what I saw Sunday with the Ravens defense, really for me was the amount of times they let Deshaun Watson step up in the pocket and then take off. Not for huge gains, 4 plays here, 4 yards here, 3 yards here, but when it's, oh my goodness, you got this guy in the backfield, it's a sack.
Mm.
I mean, and then he breaks it off for a 3-4. That's a huge swing. That's a huge swing yardage wise. That and the amount of times Deshaun Watson would just check it down to David Njoku, who apparently couldn't be tackled in this game by anybody in a Ravens uniform, was just so frustrating to watch. It was just so frustrating. It's like watching a slow. It was like watching a slow motion car accident that you wish you could stop, but you couldn't. And by the time the Ravens got themselves together, it was too late. It was too late.
It was too
Um,
late.
and this is not anything new. That's the problem. Let me read some things off to you here,
Okay,
BP. Okay,
go ahead.
this is going back to last year as well as this year. Okay, last year Miami, right, 35-14 Ravens with 12 minutes left to go in that game. Lost that game. Buffalo 20-3 right right before half. Lost that game. The Giants up 20-10 with 6 minutes left to go in that game last year. Lost that game. Jaguars up 19-10 with 6 minutes left to go in the game. Lost that game. This year up 13-3 on the Steelers with 7 minutes and 30 seconds to go in the third quarter. Ended up losing that game. And then of course this one up 24-9 with 3 minutes, 2 minutes left to go in the third quarter. End up losing that game. I'm gonna say this. There's a lot of blame to go around, but there's no one person to put the blame on. This is a absolute collapse in every aspect of the game. There's some blame to go to Lamar Jackson. There's some blame to go to injuries. There's some blames to go to the defense, the coaching staff. It's a whole thing. However, Ravens fans shouldn't act like the sky's falling. They're still 7-3. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
And this is a town that, I mean, they overreact. I mean, you would think. I mean, one week we're talking about Lamar Jackson as being MVP of the league. The next week, everybody's like, "Well, he's this and he's that, and he sucks and he's this, and they should ship him out of town." And all that is like, Dude, you can't 1 week be sucking the dude's dick and the next minute try to call him an Uber. You know what I mean? That's just not how. That's just not smart. You need to relax.
I think that's every fan base. To be fair, they're all
Which
very hypercritical of their quarterbacks and their situations, head coaches. It doesn't matter. You could screw up once, and you could be beheaded where you stand at, or you could win one game, and they'll talk to you about you like you're Jesus Christ. It's not like that's not new anywhere.
here's the thing, though. It's not just the fan base. Last week, Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharp were praising Lamar Jackson as a potential MVP in this league. This week, they're talking about, oh, he's got a turnover problem and he's done this. He's only got as many touchdown passes as Mac Jones has, and all this, that, and the third. It's like, it's not just the fan base, though. The media, too, just wants to pound this guy like you got pounded on that couch.
You're not wrong.
And it's frustrating to see the media do this to this man. He's got to be perfect.
Now
But
imagine how frustrating it is for him.
Oh, I'm sure. But
He's
you know
gotta
what?
be trying.
He's a good quarter. Anybody who says he's not a good quarterback is an idiot, right? Josh Allen has these same issues. Joe Burrow is throwing interceptions like you've never seen him do before. But no one seems to put any negative thing out there about those two guys. But Lamar Jackson has a subpar game where he throws 2 interceptions, and all of a sudden it's crucifying. They want to put him up on that cross and make him look like Jesus. I just don't get it.
But I mean,
It's
you
frustrating.
don't hear that because you're not a Bills fan. Josh Allen just threw 2 interceptions. He tried his damnedest to make sure I was going to lose my fantasy game this week. It was crazy, dude. I was only going to win by 10 points until he ran one in for touchdown in on his legs. Like this was crazy. If he would have thrown like 4 more interceptions, I'd have lost the fucking fantasy league this week.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I mean, I get it.
but it's just you live in that area. You're gonna hear about Lamar Jackson more than you will about Josh Allen, Russell Wilson, or any of these other quarterbacks. And I think that's fair, right?
Yeah, I guess it's the same thing like when you buy a car. You've never seen that car on the road
Now, from an
before.
outsider looking in, I'm
Yeah.
just an enjoyer of football. I think it's your defense.
Okay, I mean,
Quarterbacks should not be blamed on it
on
100%. I mean,
I agree. I
turnover's a
mean,
turnover.
true.
Damn,
And he
the
didn't have
Bills
2.
turned the ball over damn 3 or 4 times and almost will beat the damn Broncos this week.
And I feel like, and I think Dan Orlowski said this in his show. He was talking to Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharp because they were talking about how he had two interceptions, or he has just as many turnovers as he has touchdown passes, or something like that. And he's 100% right. Turnovers are not a black and white thing. They're not. Okay, sometimes it's a deflection at the line. Sometimes it's a guy popped the ball up in the air when he should have caught it. Sometimes it's a torrential downpour, and that's why we have a couple fumbles in the game. Everybody wants to make this such a black and white thing, and it's just not. It's a lot of it's just gray, and I don't think people can handle that. People want to put the blame somewhere, and normally 9 times out of 10, it's going to go on the quarterback. That's just the way it is. He's the highest paid position on the team. I get it.
But we're talking about the Baltimore Ravens right now, and I would
Yeah.
like I said, Cardinals. Either was last week or the week before last. You almost lost to the Cardinals.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because your defense. I think it's the defense not being able to finish a game.
Yeah, the
Just because
defense
you have a
has
strong start doesn't
Yeah.
mean you're gonna have a strong finish. And
They have
got to be
players.
able to finish a game.
They have talent on this defense. There's no doubt, right? But I think the issue that has kind of been overlooked because the people who've been taking those spots have been playing so well. I think it's the second and third corner position. Marlon Humphrey, as we all know, is a solid corner. He's a 2-time Pro Bowl corner. He's a good guy. He's a good player. But on the other side, Brandon Stevens, who's played well to this point, has been locking it down. He's kind of been able to get rid of some of those issues that we've kind of seen that we look on paper and say, oh, this is the problem for the Ravens right here. But after those two, I mean, you've got guys like Rock Young Sin covering guys who you've never heard of covering guys who are getting torched like bread in a toaster, just absolutely getting burnt. Eli Apple type guys, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that part I think is coming to light. Is that the pass rush, unless that pass rush gets there, that secondary is starting to be exposed. And that's what I think we saw on Sunday.
I would say that's probably your weakest area is your secondary.
Yeah.
But I mean, they still.
But I digress.
Were great first half.
Right. I digress. I mean, there's still even in a loss, there's still things to take away from that and be like, Okay, we put up 31 points. You put up 31 points, you should win.
And you gave up 33.
Yeah, yeah. But you put up 30 something points. You should win that game 9 times out of 10.
Oh, yeah,
Problem was the
100%.
defense fell apart. Offense didn't help. They had a couple timely turnovers, but it is what it is. You got to keep it moving. You got to find ways to win, and they did. Hopefully, they can find it Thursday.
Who did they play
But
this Thursday?
there's an awkward transition. Cincinnati played the Texans, and that's who the Ravens play on Thursday night. These Texans, boy, let me tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
The Panthers, whoever decided in Carolina that we're going to take the Oompa Loompa, formerly known as Bryce Young, over this kid, CJ Stroud, should be shot. This kid is not only mesmerizing, he's doing it with guys that you're like, who? You know what I mean? Like if you look at Carolina, if you said Bryce Young was going off, you'd be like, well, no shit. He's got Adam Thielen, he's got this, he's got that, he's got Hayden Hurst, he's got, you know what I mean? There's none of that in Houston. There's guys we know now, right? We know who Tank Dell is now. We know who Nico Collins is now. But
I knew who Tank Dell was week 3.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
I knew who Tank Dell was week 3. I knew who Tank Dell was.
Yeah, but you knew who Adam Thielen was since 2018. You know what I mean? So there's a huge difference there. He's doing the old phrase making chicken salad out of chicken shit. Like, you could make that argument with CJ Stroud because he doesn't have a guy that you're like, at least you didn't think so entering the season. A guy who's like, oh yeah, dude, he's got this guy, no problem. You know what I mean? He doesn't have that. And he's making amazing plays in clutch situations. He refuses to be shut down. He's starting to get into that category where you look around and no one else's name should even be in the MVP race at this point.
I'm going to be honest with you. Out of a consistent quarterback play this year, I would say that CJ Stroud is the only consistent quarterback in the league right now. Every other quarterback is just
roller coaster. It's a roller coaster. I agree.
They're shit.
He's been phenomenal. And you know what? I'm most thankful about this season is that my Ravens played the Texans week 1 before he figured it out. You know what I mean? Like, he looked like a rookie week 1. He hasn't looked like a rookie since. And I'm thankful for that.
He should win the MVP period and not just
he should win Rookie of the Year. He should win Offensive Player of the Year. He should win MVP. He should win the Triple Crown, so to speak. At this point, if he keeps this up, he should win. I'm sorry, I can't justify giving it to anybody else over him. People are gonna make that Dak Prescott case, but let's be honest, he beat the Giants twice. And he bullied the Giants twice, which is a semi-pro football team at this point. But yeah, the only legitimate person I have on my list for MVP right now, after this Sunday, is CJ Stroud, a big pile of whale shit, and then everybody else. Because that's how good he's played as a rookie. And Cincinnati didn't play bad either. I mean, they put up 27 points. Joe Burrow scores late in that game, and you're thinking, classic Joe Burrow, right? You're thinking, oh, this one's over. The rookie's not pulling this one out. He pulled one out last week. Of course he did. It was against Tampa Bay. He's not pulling against one of the best teams in the AFC. But sure enough, he went right down that fucking field. He went right down. He looked good.
Joe Burrow played a good game as well. The whole Bengals side did.
Yeah.
It was a shootout, honestly, towards the end. It came down to who really wanted it more. And the Texans obviously did.
Yeah, I mean, you can't take anything away from the Bengals, right? Like, yes, Joe Burrow had 2 interceptions, but he still had almost 350 yards, right? Like, it wasn't outside of those 2 interceptions, it was a classic Joe Burrow game. He threw it a bunch of times. They scored a bunch of times. They got a little bit of Joe Mixon in there. He scored a touchdown. That's the Bengals. It's not like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, well, they played a team that didn't really look like the Bengals. That was the Bengals on that field. And the Texans played better. They played better. And they've played the most, like you said, most consistent football, especially offensively, out of any team in the NFL has been the Texans. Completely agree with you. I'll tell you what, speaking of guys who just got there, and are looking like they are absolute studs and veterans. Vikings hosting. No, sorry. Uh, what was the game? It was the. I lost it. I lost it, beef. I lost it. Oh, the Saints going into Minnesota to take on the Vikings. Josh Dobbs, full week of practice for a change. Um, but he wasn't really the storyline, right? Like Josh Dobbs did great. They played great. He got another week of practice. Good. Derek Carr, gets hurt in this game, and we get probably the most vintage Jameis Winston performance we've ever seen in recent years. I mean, this guy comes out and he has. I don't know if it's no fear, BJ, or if it's no clue what he's doing, but he makes throws that no one should even try to make. Like,
I mean, it's James Winston, to be fair.
uh, I mean, this dude rolled all the way to the left and threw an absolute piss missile all the way to the right corner of the end zone. The guy jumps up and struggles for it, but he comes down with the touchdown. And you're thinking, like, dude, there's only one quarterback who would even try to do that. And he's wearing a
Right.
Saints uniform.
1 second, real quick.
Sure, buddy.
Are we dropping frames or anything?
No, I don't think so. We seem good.
Okay, because my shit is fucking not right.
No, I'm not. I'm getting live. Coverage is
I've
excellent.
I've got 1 frame per second. This is crazy.
That is crazy, dude. You want me to? Let me see if I can. You want me to unshare the screen with you?
I don't know.
Is that? Could it be your videos that are queued up?
No, it happened last week.
Oh,
It
dude.
happened for a couple seconds and then it stopped, so I didn't really think that much of
But
it.
now it's not stopping.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
that.
like I'm rolling at like 2 frames per second.
And for those of you at home that don't know, he's got a pretty solid PC. I mean, the only thing more impressive than his dick is probably his PC. Just for everybody wondering.
You're right back.
All right. So there goes BJ. We're going to keep it rolling here talking about Derek Carr, Jameis Winston. I'm not sure. I haven't gotten the update. I haven't read an update on Derek Carr if he's out and Jameis Winston's the guy. But I'll tell you what. Like I said, he started out. I mean, he started out like an absolute world beater, right? He starts out this game throwing 2 touchdowns, and we're like, oh, this guy should have been starting all year long. However, right after that, he makes 2 of the most bonehead plays that you ever seen. Throws 2 interceptions, and you go, "That's the guy. That is Jameis Winston. He hasn't changed." I loved my favorite Jameis Winston rumor of all time was when he got laser eye surgery. We got LASIK, and everyone's like, "Dude, that was the issue. That was the issue." Now, I mean, I can't wait to see laser vision, Jameis Winston. I'm all for it. The Saints are a good team. Um, but I'll be honest, I just don't think Derek Carr fits that team, and Jameis Winston doesn't fit any team. Like he'll come in and he'll be all right, he'll be okay. But he's definitely not a starter at this point in this league. He's just not. Derek Carr was a great attempt at replacing what you lost when you lost Drew Brees, because I feel like that's what happens when a Hall of Fame quarterback retires from a team, right? That you have a few years where they clamor and they try to find that formula again. Unfortunately, they're still looking, and I think they're going to be looking for a while. Uh, I'll tell you the real issue in this game, and I know it wasn't easy because uh, I don't know if it was just that second quarter where they gave up 3 touchdowns to Minnesota. What was the issue there? But I can say this: that 9 carries for Alvin Kamara, not going to cut it. 9 carries for Kamara. He did get 7 receptions. He's probably one of the best. If you got him on a fantasy team, he's one of the best pass catching running backs that you're going to get. But that's a huge issue if you're them. As far as Minnesota goes, flipping the script. Josh Dobbs. Josh Dobbs looks like he's been in this offense for decades. He's looked like he's been in this offense for decades. And I'll be honest, he's looked great. Throwing the football, running the football. Yeah, what? It was 270 yards passing with a touchdown. He had a touchdown running in the red zone. He gets the ball to his guys. My issue with Minnesota, and it's going to be my issue with Minnesota until they fix it, they have got to fix that running game. They've got to. Madison's not it. Ty Chandler got a good workload, but he's not going to be that guy. They need to find that guy. Until they do, there's going to be a one-sided offense, and you're relying on Josh Dobbs to kind of keep that magic going. If you can't let him keep that magic going, then it's going to be a case where they're going to struggle. They're going to struggle because they're a one-sided offense. So Minnesota has got to get that offensive running game fixed.
All right, I'm back.
What's up, buddy? Welcome back, BJ.
Jesus Christ, dude.
You back? You stronger than ever?
I hope so.
Me too. We were just talking about how Minnesota looks good throwing the football, but they've got to get that running game going. They got to get it fixed. I think they should have just kept Dalvin Cook, who's wasting away on a Jets roster that doesn't even use him. He would have had at least an opportunity in Minnesota. I would have kept him if I was them.
That's fair.
Maybe not. I mean, I get they were. I mean, he's not looking like he deserved the money he was asking for, right? But he also really hasn't gotten the opportunity in New York to prove he's worth the money he was asking for. So you never know. But moving on to one of BJ's favorite teams. I mean, this team just embodies everything that BJ likes to be about. People were wondering after the shellacking they took against the Ravens if they were going to be able to bounce back, get things figured out. And boy, did they. And that is the Detroit Lions handing the Chargers a 41-38 loss in LA. In LA. BJ, what did you think about this one?
Man, I'm going to be honest with you. This was just a highlight show for both teams. Honestly, Keenan Allen did great for the Chargers. Austin Eckler, Herbert, they all did phenomenal job. And Dan Campbell's side just did a better job, honestly. Jamar Gibbs, David Montgomery, Jared Goff. They all, I mean, it was just, like I said, a highlight reel. They were scoring left and right.
Shout out to Dan Campbell, by the way, who he was not fucking lying when he said Jamar Gibbs is going to be featured in this offense. They took Jamar Gibbs and they worked in Montgomery just as much. Those guys, what? I think Gibbs had 14 carries for 77 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then Montgomery got another 12 for 116 and a touchdown. Mm-hmm. I mean, this team is committed
to their running back duo in the league right now.
Hands down. Hands down. And it's not even close. Now, the only one that could possibly challenge them is if when Achane comes back and you got that Mostert Achane in Miami. But until that happens, dude, this team shouldn't throw the ball unless they have to. I mean, the way that Gibbs and Montgomery complement each other in the running game, they just pounded this ball, and Los Angeles had no answer for it.
They didn't. Absolutely did not. I think Gibbs had 2 touchdowns on the run.
He did. And Montgomery had another one. Yeah. I mean,
insane.
Your mic cut out for me. Oh, you gonna talk?
Oh,
you're good now. It cut out for a second, but you're good. Okay.
This Lions team is just looking elite, and I would not be shocked to see them make a run for the Super Bowl this year.
I wanted to see.
Playoffs.
No, I think the Lions are a shoo-in, not just for that division as a whole. I think they got that thing as long as they keep playing this way. What I wanted to see, right, is sometimes you have a team that's here and they get a setback. And I think that Ravens loss was a huge setback, right? Like it made them look inwards and say, hey, we got to look inside and be like, hey, maybe we're not as good as we thought we were. No, they took that, they used it, and they came out and tried to deliver an ass whooping on the Chargers. So they did exactly what a winning football team does. You get beat, and then you get back up. And you got to worry about next week. And that's exactly what they did.
It's just going to be on the defense at this point, man. The defense has got to – you cannot let them score over 30 points on you every week and expect to win. That is ridiculous.
I agree. Jared Goff basically played mistake-free football this entire game. And let's be honest, that's not something you can rely on every week, right? No. This is the National Football League. Right. Defenses are flying around in there. You got linebackers running 4.3 40s and shit. You cannot rely on your quarterback to play mistake-free. You can't rely on anybody to play mistake-free football. So that defense is going to have to be a team that if something happens here, something happens there, they got to buckle down. But a great job by this Lions offense, and it's here, right? It's one of the top offenses without a doubt in the National Football League. The only thing holding them back is can the defense hold teams out of the end zone long enough for that offense to get going? Because I think that's what we saw, like in Baltimore, was that they got jumped on early, and the offense had to do things that they weren't designed to do, and they couldn't catch back up. So that's the only thing I can see with the Lions that would prevent them from making a deep run of the playoffs.
And I hope Dan Campbell comes with an answer for that on defense.
Yeah,
If they
I
can do
agree.
that and lock it down,
They got a
the
shot.
season, they got a great shot.
We could see the Lions making a solid run at an AFC Championship against the Eagles or the Niners or whoever is going to be there. I completely agree. Completely
At this
agree.
point, it's a toss up, man.
It is.
Now
It really
they're
is.
saying that they're probably going to get their ass whooped next week. It's going to be ridiculous. Watch.
Oh, those poor bastards. All right. Monday Night Football. Now, do you want to play? Do you want to play your clip before we get into it, or you want to talk about it and then get into
at
it?
the end. We'll
Okay.
do it at the end.
All right. Correct me if I'm wrong, BJ, but I remember sitting here last Friday night, and I heard two gentlemen say, "Watch out, because the Broncos are going to win this game."
Yes, I do believe two handsome gentlemen said that.
Handsome Devils said that. What were their names again? I think one was BJ,
and the other one was Justin Big Cock Kelly.
That's
Kelly,
right.
sorry.
That's right. I was the original Big Cock Brock. Bro, Broncos took it into the Bills, and let me ask you this: does your clip have to do with the way the end of the game played out, or
No,
not?
It does not.
Okay,
it does not.
So I mean, you can say whatever you want to. I know if you're a Bills fan, you're going to say that wasn't pass interference, but it was obviously pass interference. The corner got there way before the ball did. That's why you have a veteran quarterback who tosses the ball up, so that way the receiver tries to come back to it. And if the corner doesn't recognize that, it's pass interference all day.
He didn't
all
look
day
once at all.
But they shouldn't be mad at that.
Tough. Yeah, it's tough to ask. I mean, you could say, well, he could have looked. He should have looked.
Yeah,
brother, he's in the NFL. You go out there and do it. My man's running for his damn life out there trying to catch up with this wide receiver.
Hardest position play. Yeah. Any Bills fan who's mad at that call isn't mad at the right thing. Okay? Because you had
mad about is your damn coaching. How you have 12 motherfuckers out there on the
How do you have I've never understood this. How do you have 12 people on the field goal blocking unit? It's either I'm on the unit or I'm not on the unit.
Yeah. So one of those motherfuckers out there had to at some point be like, I'm not supposed to be out here right now.
Right. At some point you had to be like, dude, man, they're kicking the ball. I've never done this before. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand how you can fuck that up. And he missed a 43-yard field goal, and then you said, you know what? Fuck it. We don't want to win this game. We want our whole season to go down the drain. Let's have 12 men on the defense. Let's let them kick it again. And I was surprised he missed it once, but he sure as fuck wasn't going to miss it twice.
No.
And that's what I'm saying. If you're dude. If you're a Bills fan and you're mad at that pass interference, you're mad at the wrong thing. You should be mad at the coaching staff that had 12 men on the field on a game-winning field goal attempt.
Let me tell you something. You should be mad at Josh Allen for throwing interceptions. You should be mad at Gabe Davis for letting a ball fly through his hands and into a defender's hands. You should be mad at everything else but that damn cornerback. You should not. That whole game does not ride on his back. There was steps and events leading up to that moment that should have never happened.
And I'm going to say this.
Never happened.
Because I've said this before about my team. Even if the Bills pulled that game out, they didn't deserve to win that game. As piss poor and as sloppy as they played that game, they didn't deserve to win it. Yes, you like to win those games, and everybody wants to win, but you didn't deserve to. You played horribly. Josh Allen's throwing too many interceptions. He's a turnover machine. In the wrong times. Like, there's never a right time to turn the ball over, but he picks the most inopportune times to throw interceptions and fumble the ball that I've ever seen.
Yes.
And it keeps getting swept under. Like, no one talks about it.
That's why he's getting benched. That's why he's getting benched next week.
You think he's getting benched?
I am. I'm benching his ass.
Dude, you mean in fantasy? That's what I was like, dude, there's no way the Bills. Yeah, dude, Sam Howell.
Sam Howell's a president.
Here's the thing:
Sam Howell's leading the league in yards right now. Did you know that?
Yeah, I did know that. He's balling out. I mean, the Commanders ain't shit, but he's balling out.
He's doing what he can. But let's talk. Let's keep talking about the Bills. Go ahead.
Yeah, my like people made excuses for Josh Allen for a long time about all he needs is a running game. All he needs is a running game. He's got one. James Cook had over 100 yards rushing last night,
And I
but
believe
for
Latavius Murray did as well, or he had close to it.
he had close. He had seven. I think he had close to 70. Um, but the problem is when this team gets into the red zone, they completely forget that they have two running backs who can run the football, and it's got to be the Josh Allen show. They got stop trying to win Josh Allen MVP. Okay, stop trying to do it. It ain't gonna happen.
Win a football game.
Just win the game, right? And if it involves running the ball down their throats in the red zone, that's what it involves. It does. You don't need to have this perpetual loop of, oh well, he's Josh Allen. He's on the cover of Madden, so we got to get him a touchdown pass here. Oh shit, he threw a pick.
Right.
Tired of seeing the cycle. And if I'll tell you what, if Sean McDermott doesn't fix it, ownership's going to fix him, and he's going to be out. And I know they fired.
Josh Allen's not going to be gone. The coach.
No, they just fired the offensive coordinator. Right. Offensive coordinator got fired today. So that's the first step. First step is you fire the offensive coordinator, and now if the offensive coordinator change doesn't fix it, next is the head coach. That's exactly what's going to happen.
You're on the hot seat.
You're on a hot seat.
Figure it out.
And he has to know it.
You have so much talent on that team. You should be a playoff contender, and now you're fighting to have a winning season. It's ridiculous.
They can forget. I mean, at this point, unless something drastically changes.
Away from the Denver Broncos defense, they had one bad game against Miami, and everybody just wrote them off. But they've been playing tough ever since then. Their defense, lights out. Dude, I can't play a fantasy person on offense against the Denver Broncos defense.
I mean, their last two wins are against the Bills and the Chiefs.
There's two things you can count on in this year in the NFL is if the Broncos defense and the Jets defense are going to fucking hold somebody in fantasy points.
Right. The question is not is the defense going to show up, right? The question has been will the offense show up? And for the last few weeks for Russell Wilson, he hasn't been great. Like we're not saying, oh my goodness, this Russell Wilson's the old
Russell
one.
Wilson that showed up last night was old Russell Wilson from Seahawks.
Yeah. He was effective. He was efficient.
They were hoping was going to come to the Broncos.
Yeah. That pass. That pass he had to Cortland Sutton in the end zone was vintage Russell Wilson, without a doubt. You know, he made me want to eat a dangerous sandwich. That's all I can say. That's how good it was. That's how good of a throw it was.
But speaking of Russell Wilson, just talk about this guy is a bad teammate. Bad teammate. And I know a month ago, Marshawn Lynch was on the Richard Sherman show and the Shannon Sharp show and was talking about how he had to go through an agent. Russell Wilson's agent.
I remember hearing that.
The agent was like, he'll call you. And he called him from a blocked number, a private number. That's ridiculous.
I agree.
Can you be a leader if you can't even chop it up with the boys? And of course, Russell Wilson's going to come on an interview and talk about, well, he put his arm around me and, when I was a young rookie and he showed me some things. Marshawn Lynch, if anything, isn't a liar.
No, I agree. He says it how it is.
Apologetically himself.
I agree.
And I love that about Marshawn Lynch. And I can't trust a damn word that comes out of Russell Wilson's mouth.
That's all I was going to say. That's my one gripe, has always been my gripe about Russell Wilson is there's no reason to interview him because he's just going to say whatever the cookie cutter correct political answer is for whatever question he gets asked. And that's so two-faced that it's exhausting. And I think what happens a lot of times is he's the quarterback, so we assume he's the leader on the team, right? We just assume. Sometimes it's not the case. Like when Joe Flacco was here, do you think Joe Flacco was the leader of this team, or do you think Ray Lewis was the leader of this team? You know what I mean? And it happens a lot, but people expect it to be the quarterback. Why? Because he's the highest paying, he's the quote unquote the most important position, all these other reasons. But as we're starting to see, and we're hearing a lot, I think players, now we have this new wave of ex-players in the media. They're not afraid to say what happened behind closed doors anymore, right? For them, it's more money to say it because it's content, especially if it's true. And I'm with you. Russell Wilson doesn't seem like he seems like the corniest son of a bitch. Clip. All right, let me know when
if it was pregame or postgame. I'm about to show it right now. I've got it pulled up on my screen.
I got you here, buddy.
You ready?
Yep, I'm ready. Wait, do you have the volume up on that thing? Because I don't hear it. For whatever reason, the audio's not coming through, but I can read the caption.
Did you
So
hear
what
that?
does he? No, it didn't come through. The audio didn't come through. But what does he say? Does he say
He
he doesn't throw it to
says,
me anyway?
yeah, he doesn't throw it to me anyway. Because a heckler, a Bills fan, or somebody was talking about, zero catches, zero catches. And he says, well, he doesn't throw it to me anyway. And the fact that a rookie wide receiver, a rookie, had the
Yeah,
balls to say that to fans, knew he was being recorded.
didn't care.
It's a damn shame that he's telling the truth, and he's probably going to get fined or some shit by the Denver Broncos for that.
Yeah, I'm sure someone's gonna get a stern talking to, especially with Sean Payton.
And he's not speaking anything but facts. Because
No,
the
I
only
agree.
person Russell Wilson throws the fucking ball to is Sutton.
Sutton or Judy when he needs
What's the
it
point
the
if you have
most.
a Jerry Judy or Marvin Mims Jr. if you're not going to throw him the fucking ball?
No, I agree. I think it's one of those things. Like I don't know if it's just how the offense is designed,
Mm.
but it really can't be, right? Well, it could be. Let's play devil's advocate here. Sean Payton's the head coach. He's also the offensive play caller. Um, in New Orleans, they weren't fucking spreading the ball around, right? It was Marcus Colston for 10 years, and then went right to Michael Thomas. And it was the Michael Thomas show, just like it was the Marcus Colston show. And it's been that way during an entire, I don't know, and maybe it wasn't just Drew Brees. Maybe it was just the way that fucking offense is run by Sean Payton. Is that the third guy is not an option in that offense. It's the 1 and 2 because it seems like it's all it is. It's the 1 and 2 with a little bit of the running back sprinkled in there, right? And a little bit of the tight end sprinkled in there. Other than that, you're not getting slot action out of a Sean Payton offense. That's what it seems like to me.
Right, but hear me out when I say this, right? Hear me out.
Yeah,
You have a key player you look to, and if he's not open, you check it down to somebody who is open.
you're 100% right. But in the Sean Payton offense, maybe that guy you're checking it down to is the running back or the tight end. It's not the slot receiver. It should be.
Let me
He's
tell
a
you
very
something. I've never
he's a
liked
talented young
Sean
man.
Payton, and I probably never will like him. He's got a butthole mouth. I don't like it. I hate looking at his face. When he comes up on the screen when we're watching football, I have to look away. The dude just sit here like this. Look, look. This is what he looks like.
Or he's got that fucking
Just he ate something
he's got
really.
that Wendy's menu in front of his face and he's trying to call a
I've
play
never
like
liked
that.
Sean Payton. I've never liked him, and I think it's just his
Oh,
face.
he's about as far as coaches go. He's a cocky, arrogant fuck, without a doubt. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. I'm right there with you.
But
I
I'm
don't think
questioning
he's.
Russell Wilson's
I think
character.
it's almost like the perfect combination, but in a bad way. You have arguably one of the most cocky, arrogant bastards to coach a team, and you have a guy who's so fake at quarterback that he'll do anything that cocky, arrogant fuck wants him to do because he's a puppet. That's all he is. He's a pussy puppet. That's all he is. And I'm with you. I think Russell Wilson cares more about Russell Wilson, except he just says all the right things so no one really talks about it. I'm right there with you with it. And like you said, Marshawn Lynch, you could accuse him of being a lot, but a liar is not one of them.
Is not one of them at all.
That man would tell Jesus everything he's done in his life and not bat an eye. He's just who he is. He does not care, and he's just here so he doesn't get fined. And it's that
He's
simple.
just here.
You know what I
And
mean?
you know what? I want to apologize to Sean Payton. I want to
Ooh.
apologize to him. But we are talking about the head coach who had hit bounties out when he was at the damn New Orleans Saints and got in trouble for
With
it.
Greg Williams, yeah, he tried to pretend like he didn't know that was
So go
going on. Let's be
McFuck
honest.
yourself, like you didn't know
Yeah,
that was
dude.
happening.
Yeah, let me ask you this because that has been a topic of conversation, and we'll talk about this before we wrap it up here. When things happen in an organization, how often do you believe the head coach doesn't know?
Never. I think they always know. It's just plausible deniability. That's all it is.
My opinion on it is, I don't care if he knew or not. My thing is, if you're the head coach, the buck stops with you. Either A, you knew about it and lied, or B, you're so inefficient at your job, you're so shitty at your job that you didn't know what was happening in your own organization. Either way, you should be held liable. Either way.
Right. Yeah, you should be held liable.
And there should
That
be
is
different
your
levels of
team.
it, but it is your team.
The
If
head
you one of
coach
your
and the
coaches,
GM should be held reliable.
it's no different if you have someone underneath you at work, right?
Right.
If I'm a
They get in
manager at
trouble
a
for each
job,
other.
Right. If I measure a job and one of my employees fucking destroys half the building because he shouldn't have been driving this or should have been doing that, my ass is grass.
Right.
We're both going down. They don't want to hear, oh, I didn't know. It was my job to know. It's that simple. And I think we have to start holding coaches just as accountable. And I think, like I said, everybody's up in arms going to college a little bit with Jim Harbaugh, like whether he knew about this, that, and the third. Doesn't matter if he knew about it. If he didn't know about it, it was his job to know about it.
Right.
That's just how I
I'll
feel.
lean on that. It's plausible deniability.
Right. And
All
that's
it
that.
is. They
Right.
know
That
about
might
it, but
work.
they're gonna.
Then that can work in court. You know what I mean? Plausible deniability can work in court, but it shouldn't work when it comes to your job. Shouldn't work when it comes to your job.
You can't tell me that you're the head coach and you have no idea what's going
Right.
on.
Right.
Then that means you're a shitty head coach and you don't want
Exactly.
to your players' lives.
Exactly. All right. Well, I think that about does it for us for this edition, the Week 11 recap. We'll be back again on Friday, correct, to do the Week 12 preview.
Yeah, Friday.
I'll tell you what. Before we go, we normally do this. I completely forgot about this. Thursday night football this week. Ravens, Bengals. It could be probably the first Thursday night football game we had that's a decent game. Who you got winning this one?
Game.
Yeah, it should be. Who you got winning this one?
Oh man, this is gonna be tough. If the Ravens defense shows up, I think they can pull it out.
Okay.
Man, this is probably honestly the toughest game I've had to decide in a couple weeks now. I'm gonna just lean with who I want to win.
Okay.
Because I can't. I could flip a coin honestly. I'm gonna say I want the Ravens to win.
I got you.
They've just been playing hard nosed football. I just need their defense to show up and play 4 quarters.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I'm gonna say this. I got 2 caveats to this game. I think if the Ravens offensive line is healthy going into this game, they'll win. And if John Harbaugh sticks to his word and says Mitchell's actually going to get some more carries, more looks, that he's earned it, like he said this week, today in his press conference, that they have a good shot, because I think that kid is an absolute superstar waiting to happen. And I think if those 2 things come true, I think they have a real shot to win this game regardless of what happened last week. They're a team that bounces back historically. It's in Baltimore, so I'm optimistic. So yeah, I'm gonna have the Ravens win a close one. It's not gonna be a blowout either way. I'm telling you that right now.
Yeah, it's gonna be close.
It's gonna be close, just like the Browns game was. So if the Ravens get out to a good lead or the Bengals get out to a good lead, sit down and keep watching, because it's not gonna stay that way. I can almost guarantee you. But I'm gonna take the Ravens. I'm gonna take the Ravens, pull it out. If that offensive line is healthy and Harbaugh's a man of his word and gets Keaton Mitchell involved.
Do you think the defense shows up for all 4 quarters?
I think the defense. I think that pass rush is going to have a way easier time to get into Joe Burrow against Cincinnati's makeshift offensive line than it did against Cleveland. Cleveland actually has a pretty good offensive line, and because of that pass rush, the defense will be fine. It's the problem with that team is it's based on that pass rush. It really is, and we saw what they do against a good offensive line, which makes me worried going down the stretch. Of course, when we get into those games against the Niners and things of that nature. But yeah, I think the defense will be fine. They'll figure it out.
Okay.
All right. Anything else you want to say to the beautiful people out there in Twitch land and or in YouTube watching this?
If you're on YouTube, if you're on Twitch, and you're liking what you're seeing, you like hearing our sultry voices, don't forget to drop a follow, subscribe, hit the notification bell. The last thing I want to say is Russell Wilson. Is he a bad teammate? Sean Payton, does he have mouth butthole? You tell me.
Definitely does. Drop. If you think he does, drop butthole into the comments. And for me, everyone, I appreciate all the love. I appreciate all the support. Like my good friend BJ said, if you like what you're seeing, drop the follow, drop the subscription on YouTube. And if there's anything in particular that you want to hear us talk about next week, if there's anything in particular you want our opinions on when it comes to fantasy football or regular football or any sport really, let us know. You know what I mean? You can drop a comment on one of the YouTube videos. You can whisper us here on Twitch. I check them pretty regularly. If we get one, let us know. So until next time, you guys try not to ruffle any feathers. We'll see you Friday.